The Indianapolis 500 is arguably the biggest stage in all of motorsport. A race that brings in over 300,000 spectators and offers one of the biggest prizes in racing. The Indy 500 to this day remains arguably the biggest motor race on planet Earth. All 33 drivers pull up on the grid with one goal: to win the race. Not to finish second and get a good points haul, not to get a decent top 10. The goal is to win. But before that, the goal is to prove that you have the quickest car on the grid by winning pole for the big race. Today's protagonist did just that, set the fastest 4-lap average and took pole for the Indy 500 and led the field to green. However, in a race that was 500 miles long, our protagonist met their fate before 1 mile had even been completed. My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and this is the 2001 Indianapolis 500, Scott Sharp's Colossal Battle. Meet today's protagonist, Scott Sharp. An established IndyCar star in 2001 that had already proved his worth before joining the series, winning multiple championships in the SCCA in different classes, such as GT1 and Trans Am. He even won the Daytona 24 Hours in 1996. He made his debut in kart in 1993 and competed in his first Indy 500 the year after. Leading up to the 2001 season, Sharp had a career best finish of 10th in the Indy 500, a finish that he scored twice, in 1996 and the year prior in 2000. However, entering the 2001 Indy 500, Scott was looking to build off of his impressive qualifying runs in the race years prior. After moving to Kelly Racing in 1998, his last 3 starts in the Indy 500 were P7, P6 and P5. With Sharp showing speed, he was expected to replicate this going into the 2001 running of the Indy 500. But what he did surpassed anything he had done prior. Scott Sharp stepped up on qualifying day and won pole for the Indy 500 with an impressive average speed of 226.037 miles an hour, the only driver on the grid to surpass 225. As dawn cracked Sunday morning in Indianapolis, the biggest day of Scott Sharp's life had come. When the green flag waved, he would be the one at the front of the 33-car field. In a pre-race interview, Scott emphasized how important being fast throughout the entire race would be.
Michaels, you would think that at 500 miles you might have some time to rest, but Scott Sharp, as deep as this field is, when do you ride and when do you race?
These days, Jack, with the competition, I don't know if you ever rest. You know, you're always going to push pretty hard. Maybe you save a little something for those last 10 laps, but I think you're going to have to get on it pretty good all day.
Al, they may have won the pole and the pit stop competition, but 24 days ago, they unloaded their gear with one goal in mind, and that takes place at 11 a.m. today.
With all the traditions and fanfare out of the way, it was finally time. The pace laps began behind an Oldsmobile Bravada SUV, the first SUV ever to serve as pace car for the Indy 500. The track had experienced constant rain in the days leading up to the race as well, with evident cloud cover over the track during the pace laps. Due to the cooler weather, tire temps were a cause for concern, as teams would need to make sure they got their rubber up to optimal temperature in conditions that weren't as easy to do so in. Dr. Jerry Punch explained this further on pit road.
Exactly, Vince, and the cooler temperatures have the crews concerned a little bit about engine reliability and tire grip. Now, if the oil temperature drops below 70 degrees on a restart, the engines can erupt with no notice. And as far as tires are concerned, they need 130 degrees to grip the racetrack, and that may take an extra lap or 2 after a pit stop. Bob?
With it taking multiple laps for tires to reach optimal temps, drivers would have to be super cautious on lap 1 in order to not let their cold tires get the best of them. However, If you remember Scott's words earlier,
these days, Jack, with the competition, I don't know if you ever rest. You know, you're always going to push pretty hard.
Yeah, the pace car exited the field and the green flag waved and Scott Sharp dashed into turn 1 into the lead. And then it happened.
Scott Sharp jumps into the lead.
Robbie Gordon already very well. Scott Sharp.
He bobbled in turn 1 and he's hitting the wall. Scott Sharp.
Scott Sharp got high coming off at turn 1.
Without making it so much as to turn 2, Scott Sharp was out of the Indy 500. The only words he told his crew over the radio were, "I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry." Exiting turn 1, Sharp simply lost grip due to the cold tires at the beginning, and once he went below that white line, it was an inevitability that he would hit the wall. Despite his best efforts, he couldn't save the car and collided with the wall, destroying his right front wheel. And just like that, it was over. What started out as a dream scenario for Scott Sharp came to a sad and abrupt end. He expressed in an interview how bad he felt, especially for the crew that had been working on his car during the month of May.
Scott Sharp, tell us what happened right there.
I wish I totally knew. You know, I went down there, and obviously we all went a lot slower in there. I was way off the gas compared to where we were the other day in carburation day. Obviously then the track was a lot warmer, and so I knew we had to be a bit more gentle in there, but just it snapped right on me. I thought I'd caught it, but I was really surprised, unfortunately. But the Delphi guys, I feel so bad. I mean, I don't even know where to begin to talk about how much work and effort's gone into this month, and to throw it away like that, it's crazy.
Sorry about your disappointing start.
Helio Castroneves would go on to win the race, the first of 4 Indy 500s he'd score in his career. Scott Sharp would brush off this low point by taking the win at the very next IndyCar race held in Texas. Sharp would participate in 8 more Indy 500s in his career, with 6th in 2007 being the best finish he would ever score in the great race. And despite achieving 4 more wins in his IndyCar career, there's no doubt that Scott probably thinks about Indy in 2001 and what may have happened had he kept it together on that opening lap. Could it have been a win or a top 5? Who knows? He might have even been caught up in a wreck later given how the race played out. However, one thing's for sure, and that is that the 2001 Indianapolis 500 was Scott Sharp's colossal battle. My name is Intern, I talk wheel, and thanks for watching.